Hi Muses. I'm going to try and do this in the car. I have so much to say. I'm feeling a rant coming on and wanted to share it with you. I've been talking a lot about creativity and getting the creative flow going, and this is what I talk about. I apologize if you hear the car sound, but I need the aircon on because I get really hot when I get into the zone, when I get into the flow stuff. And I just did a training inside my lovely friend Carly Marie's membership called Soul Biz Sisterhood on the 3 mistakes that we make with creativity and how to get that flow going and what it is that we basically hold ourselves back. I like to give 3 points so that I limit my training, otherwise it just goes on forever. But I find myself really, a lot of it was talking about fear. Resistance comes up. This is why you don't want to, or you find yourself that you can't. You feel inspired and you want to do the thing, you want to make the thing, you want to paint the thing, you want to start the business, you want to write content. You get stuck and you run out of ideas, or you just don't feel like you've got the motivation or the inspiration. But a lot of it just comes down to the resistance and the fear that comes up. And fear work and resistance work is an ongoing practice, and it's something that, for as long as you can be creative and you can grow and expand, you're going to come up against it. And instead of seeing it as something, as a one-time event where if you can just somehow destroy it forever, you can be this perfect being who just always inspired all the time, always flowing, never has to deal with any negativity, any fears, any doubts, any of that emotional baggage stuff. And that's just not the case. And you're waiting, and as you're waiting, you're not creating the work that you know you need to do in the world, whether it is just painting more or showing up for your clients or starting that business or being all of who you know you need to be because you're not feeling confident, you're not sure about what you're supposed to do next, you're not sure about stepping into that leadership role, which is what change is. When you are speaking for yourself, when you find that connection to your creativity, when you are doing the work that is really allowing your creative voice to sing, that's confidence, that's clarity, that's stepping into your leadership, that's being a muse. And you're not just following instructions and being a robot and just ticking boxes. You're serving your spirituality, you're serving the divine muse, you're serving your calling, your purpose, you're serving your purpose in life, whether that's being the best mum you can be, best spouse, best partner, best coach, best artist, best person at your job, whatever that is. Being able to connect to your creativity allows you to practice being able to step into the unknown, being able to experiment and expand when things feel uncomfortable. And it ripples out into all the other areas of your life. In your parenthood, how to try new things, how to step forward and still give the best to your children when you're not sure and you're unsure and you're not sure that you can trust yourself because you haven't had any proof yet. And it's just that building of confidence and of knowing and of trust and of faith. It comes down to how you manage fear. Before I really totally get into it, I want to share this. So if you know anyone, I would love for you to share it because I'm going to be talking about all kinds of good stuff. But I wanted to share this into my group. So if you don't know me already, hi, Brenda Mangalore, coming to you from a car because I'm weaving my art with school pickup and stuff. So I came early so I could park and then do this stuff for you. And also because I don't want to wait until like after dinner and when everything's ready and everything's perfect. And it doesn't work that way. So what have you been doing? What is it that you're really struggling with? And I hear this all the time where people make the mistake of thinking, maybe if I had more time dedicated to this thing, if I was just better at time management and I had the right time, when I've got more energy and when I'm got the right tools and, what paint do you use, Brenda? Because somehow if you use my paints, that's going to help you paint, or like use the right brushes, or if you like combed your hair correctly, like, yes, sometimes tools help. Yes, sometimes having the right amount of time helps. Yes, having the right inspiration and flow and motivation and feeling that sense of inspired purpose thing could help. But at the same time, if you still find yourself waiting and we're already in end of February and you know you made that New Year's resolution and you were going to call in more creativity in your life, or you know that you want to create that thing that you want to create in the world, and you know that you're missing that sense of joy and play and passion and expression in your life because you're just following the status quo and just, you know, keeping up with the motions, but there's no sense of meaning or intentionality, you need to connect to your creativity. You need to cultivate your creative practice. And it doesn't have to be a big thing. It can just be small ways of connecting and having that conversation with the muse, or just noticing how you're using creativity in all the everyday mundane areas of your life. And if you can shift that mindset, this is how you face fears. The fears that you face and the patterns of sabotage and resistance that you face in just doing that fun creative thing that you've been meaning to do, painting, dancing, music, writing, knitting, is probably the same fears and patterns of sabotage and resistance that you're facing in other bigger areas of your life, in your parenthood, in your job, in, you know, going for that new habit or new lifestyle or new skill or new promotion or new whatever project that you've been, you know, calling inside you to do. And so being able to deal with that, you can practice it in your creative practice and then have that ripple out, that confidence, that clarity into the rest of your life, which can only be a good thing. All right. Okay, and all right. Where was I? I'm sharing to the free group. If you don't know, that's what I was doing. Mindful Muses is my free group. If you want more conversations and free training, right now there is two free trainings in there, which is actually the pre-work for Creativity Catalyst, the new course that I'm launching. I was just working on updating the worksheets for that immersion. It's a course. It's a 25-day immersion. It is so amazing. I keep forgetting the stuff that I do and thinking and dismissing that it was just something that I did ages ago, and because new and shiny is better. No, actually there's a lot of gold in Creativity Catalyst, and it's gonna, if you allow yourself that time, that 25 days, 5 to 10 minutes a day, you can weave it with your busy schedule. But it gives you that framework and that structure and that accountability, if that's what you need, as well as inspiration and prompts to be able to spark new ideas for whatever your creative work is, whether it's coming up with content for your online business and online marketing, or whether it is just connecting to your creative practice that you've neglected for a long time, or just to give your creativity a bit of a boost. 25-day immersion, that's what Creativity Catalyst is. We are closing enrollment for that this weekend, but there is a special gift for the first 5 people. So you should be able to check out the links, which I will drop because I've completely forgotten about, but I was talking about Mindful Muses. You can check out the free training for the pre-work in there, which is, you can find it on the link on my Facebook page, or just look up Mindful Muses with Brenda Mangalore. Hopefully you still get to see it if you're watching a replay of this, because it's only going to be up for a limited time before it gets archived inside Creativity Catalyst for the students and clients in there. And so the 2 free trainings right now is what is creativity, and really getting an understanding of that and seeing how you're already using your creativity in your everyday life. And the other one is about the creative process, and I go through how I paint and my creative process, but really it can be applied in all creative work, and you can see the 3 different areas. Like, some of us struggle with starting, some of us struggle when we hit the messy middle, and some of us struggle with releasing and finishing the work. And you'll see this in different seasons and different areas and different projects, that you might get blocked in different phases of that process, but that training will give you an idea and an overview and just ways to work through that and really get the flow going. Even if you don't see yourself as a creative, but you feel this urge and this nudge and this call, and you've been curious about just exploring your creativity, definitely check out Creativity Catalyst. That is for you. I will go through who it is really for and who it's not for in a sec after this, but I really want to get this chat out to you and get this link in the comments. Check it out in the comments. So hot today. It was supposed to be so humid. and then now it's just like hot and so yeah, if I get so sweaty, that's where it's coming from. All right, are you allowing your creativity to flow? Okay. The reason I was getting ranty about this was what happened was, and here's the story. Okay. This is what happens a lot in the art industry, and I'm talking about painting. If you don't know me, I'm a painter, I'm an artist. I paint abstract paintings. You can check it out on my page, on my Instagram. You can see my work there. Okay. So in that, you know, in that little world, right, there's a whole bunch of people. There are people who are established, artists who, you know, have a niche, who has a style, who has their work, they've got a business, all that kind of stuff like me. There are people who are like super famous and super successful that I, you know, look up to. And then there's people who are just starting and they're kind of interested in starting the business, and people who are just like starting painting and never done it before, right? Just like anything, any creative work. And so it happens a lot that, you know, some people, especially when they're first starting, they copy the artists that they love, that they're inspired by, and they copy the work, which on one hand, I'm totally okay with, because that's how you learn. Like, you copy the masters, you know, and you get inspired by their work and stuff. But then on the other hand, there are the people who just copy the work and then they claim it as their own, or they only copy one person. Like, if you really want to steal like an artist, just like Austin Kleon talks about, where you steal like an artist because nothing is new and the ideas aren't new, but really what it is about being inspired by a whole bunch of different people and combining it together in a way that only you can, and then creating work that is unique to you. And everyone has the ability to do that. Your calling, the work that you're going to create in the world, can be unique to you, provided that you allow your creativity to flow. And so, right, I'm friends with this beautiful artist who is a watercolor artist, and she's very distinctive work, as you would when you create your own work. It's really distinctive to her and her style and everything like that. And she's got a lot of followers, and she's very generous with her work, and, you know, and she's a lovely person, blah, blah, blah. We're like online friends, although we have met in real life now. And so what happened was, and this is one of those things where I see all the time, and on one hand, I'm very much like, sure, you know, someone's copying your work. There's no point wasting too much energy getting too angry about it. Obviously, if someone's selling your work, or if it's a big company, that's another pet peeve. Big companies stealing smaller artists' work, that's just bad juju, right? And you don't want to participate in that. And especially if you see someone and you're like, oh, I can get a cheaper version of it here, or just a slightly whatever, basically an echo of somebody else, a copy of somebody else's work, and you're paying that money. Like, don't participate, first of all, in that, and don't like put yourself in that bad karma, really. But like, I don't want to waste too much energy on there, and I'm totally fine with that. But definitely, you know, do due diligence. And a lot of the time just like, I don't want to entertain it. But this time, I'm getting to my story, where someone posted a picture of my friend's artwork. Like, it was distinctively hers, and I recognized it straight away because I know her work. But she claimed it as her own. Not only that, she wrote like her caption or her post or whatever, like as if she's just painted this painting. And it was, for a second, this is probably where like gaslighting and when you fully lie. For a second, I was just like, oh, maybe she's just copying someone's work, and it's for her own self. She wasn't selling it, you know, and so she's just experimenting, and it's totally cool. But I was so confused because I'm like, but the photo looks really distinctively like my friend's photo. And I'm like, but maybe, you know, she's just trying to copy the style and the aesthetic, and she took the photo in a similar way. And then I happened to look in the comments, and someone asked her, oh, wow, that's beautiful. You know, do you sell your work? And like, did you paint this? And she replied, yes, I did paint it. And she even went into detail about the brushes she used and what colors she used. And then I got super confused because I'm like, but it looks like my friend's work. And so I asked my friend, and my friend's, no, that's my work. And I was like, I could not believe that someone did that. That not only did they rip someone else's picture off, but posted it and tried to claim it as their own. And like, first of all, angry and like really bad juju, and like do not want to be around that person anymore, and just like, oh my God, how did that person enter my circle in the first place? And it was just really bad, icky feeling, right? But another part of me was just sad, and you know, for people, because I know and I've heard of stories where people claim, oh, I'm just being inspired by this person, and they create work that's very similar to the person that they were inspired by, but it's different enough that they can say it's their own work. But really, if you really know the work, you are being a poor echo of someone else. When you could, even if you didn't have the skill sets yet, even if you're just starting, even if you're, you know, producing work that's still new, right, and fresh and different, and not quite harnessed and composed, and you don't quite have the mastery yet, your own work is always going to be a lot more beautiful, a lot more unique and impressive, and have a greater impact and contribution to the world than being a poor copy of someone else. And it's just like she wasn't allowing her own creativity to flow. And like, how long and how sustainable can it be to copy somebody else's and claim it as your own? How could you ever build enough confidence in yourself, in your work? How could you ever battle the imposter syndrome? Who, you know, you have that inner voice that comes up and goes, who are you to think you could dare to try and do this thing when you have no proof that you could do your own thing, because you're just a machine, a robot that just copies somebody else's? And that's a sad place to be. And I see that, like, definitely do not condone that kind of copying and stuff. I just remembered I needed to share it with my membership group, MINDFUL Muse, before I forget. And it's like, I get that when you're scared and you're starting out and you're not sure and you don't have that confidence in your creative voice yet in the work that you do, that it might feel safer to do what looks established and what, you know, is popular and what other people are doing. And there's nothing wrong with that. When you're starting, you're trying on new things, just like a kid, like your babies or whatever. That's how they learn. They're just copying and they're just mirroring what you do. But usually what happens though is that they, provided that they feel safe enough to do so and that they're not completely squashed when they do, they take what they've learned and they add their own spin to it, and they still do it in their own way, and they find their flavor of it, and they add their own uniqueness into it, and they take the mirroring and different things that they're copying, they're from a whole bunch of places and put it together that uniquely makes them their own. Just as how you can see a child where they say things, you know, similar to your uncle, or but then they walk like your father-in-law, or like but they sound and they swear, or they say words that you're not supposed to say, like your partner. And it's an amalgamation of a whole bunch of stuff that you makes them uniquely them. And that's what your creativity can be like, building that confidence and connection. Because when you're copying somebody else, you're connecting to a poor echo of their creativity, and you can never tap into your own, or you're wasting your creative energy on learning skills that can only copy somebody else, and you don't want to waste your energy in that way. Like, she could have spent all that creative energy writing a post and actually like writing something else that was unique to her and sharing her point of view and her story and her perspective, and that would have greater value than just taking somebody else's picture and pretending. And she wrote a post about like how, you know, she finally started painting or whatever it is. Like, actually start painting and then share from that vulnerable place. And maybe the work is a bit shit because your skill set isn't there yet, but creativity itself is a habit, and you can't build that habit if you're basing it on somebody else, and you lose that connection to your creativity. And when you don't have that connection to your own creativity, you can't use it for the areas of your life that you need to use it for your self-expression, for building up the confidence and be able to speak your intuitive messages, to be able to show up as the best client or parent or partner or employee or boss that you need to be, because that creative energy allows you to make connections that you couldn't make anybody else that could make, to be able to come up with new solutions, to be able to create new worlds, new solutions, new projects, new ideas, to tap into that inspired sense of flow that you can get when you're connected to someone's energy. You build that confidence and clarity by connecting to your own creative expression. And you can do that in small, simple ways by making it a priority to cultivate your creative practice in your everyday life? I'm obviously thinking about all this stuff because I looked through my Creativity Catalyst worksheets, and in it is the little simple prompts. Although, yes, you could totally do them in 5 to 10 minutes a day, but it also has the flexibility to allow you, if you want to give yourself that good hour at the end of the day before you go to bed, to create something, to connect to your creativity in your own way. Because the prompts isn't just, some of it is writing, some of it's drawing, some of it is just prompting you to look at a new way of expressing your creativity. And it's so good, those prompts, because I'm like, oh, I want to try and participate in myself as well. And this way of thinking allows you to practice, and this is why it's called an immersion, to immerse yourself into your creative practice in ways that you can weave into your everyday life. And the reason I really love the idea of weaving it into your everyday life is that it means that you can allow it to be part of your lifestyle, and it becomes a creative habit, and it becomes part of who you are, as opposed to this one-time event. Does that make sense? And so where are you, like, are you allowing your own creative flow to come, or are you too busy using your creative energy to come up with excuses about why you're not good enough, or why you're not allowed, or why you have to wait for some perfection to happen? And I shared this in my training today, where perfection likes to, it's a disguise of fear. And fear likes to disguise itself as perfection. But we all kind of know that, yes, we can't be perfect, and there's no point striving for perfection. You know, done is better than perfect. We choose the progress over the perfection, over waiting for perfection. And so then perfection likes to hide itself and disguise itself as procrastination, or as research, or as waiting for the right time, or waiting for the right feeling, or waiting for permission from so-and-so, or from your spouse, or from a sign from the moon and the stars, or whatever it is. When really what you're doing is you're hiding in fear. You are allowing your fear to flow instead of allowing your creativity to flow. And your creativity is always going to ask you to step out in faith and trust. And part of your creative practice, and part of what we do inside Creativity Catalyst, is about immersing yourself in that practice. And a practice itself means it's a daily thing. It's a small, tiny, insignificant steps. It's practicing embracing imperfection. It means, the whole idea of a practice means that you're not very good yet. And so when you're not very good yet, everything is really awkward and uncomfortable and not quite right. And maybe you're a little bit shit because you haven't built up the skills yet. But creativity itself is a habit. It's not a skill. You might need skills in order to create the thing that your creativity is asking you to create. But creativity itself is just a habit. And so you're hiding behind perfection, you're hiding behind procrastination, you're hiding behind research, or waiting, or overanalyzing, or you're just swimming in this ocean of chaos and fogginess, and you're not sure what the next step is, when really you do. You might only know and can see 1 or 2 steps in front of you, but you're waiting until you can get clarity about the 10 or the 10, 50, 100 steps that's going to come next after that. But you're never going to get that clarity until you take the first 2 steps forward that is shown to you. And that's the same with any creative practice. I know this with my painting. I never know exactly what's going to happen at the end of my painting. I never know exactly the exact picture of what I'm going to create, because there are happy accidents along the way, and I love that part of the process. But it's also super scary, because every time I'm stepping forward in front of the easel, there's always this element of uncertainty, and there's always a bit of fog, but I only ever see 1 step in front of me. And it is such a practice of faith and trust that the next step will be shown once I have taken that first step. And so part of my creative practice isn't just painting, isn't about just looking at other painters or looking at other artists or whatever it is that most people romanticize what a creative practice is, and what creativity is, and what creative living is. Part of my creative practice a lot of the time is being able to face my fear and recognize it for what it is. It's about realizing that the reason I'm feeling foggy, or I'm overwhelmed, or I'm feeling I'm like trying to procrastinate, it's because I'm avoiding certain details. I'm avoiding facing a fear. I'm trying to numb out this bad feeling that I don't want to feel, when really part of moving forward is to face that fear, is to feel those feelings. It's to acknowledge the pain that I need to acknowledge, so that I can take the next step forward, and the next step forward after that. And that ripples out, that practice ripples out into my parenthood, into my relationship with my husband, into the way I show up for my business, in the way I show up for my clients and for my students, as well as for my paintings. This is why I get really passionate about when people use excuses for why they are not creative. There's a car, it's like reversing in and it's getting really close to my car. I'm like, don't bump me. But and it's like, but you already are creative. You're using your creative energy to come up with excuses about why you're not creative, or how you don't have enough time, or how you need to wait for this thing, or how you're not feeling right yet, or how, you know, this sense of resistance or fear is a sign that you shouldn't keep going, when really that sense of resistance and fear is a sign that you are on the right path. If resistance shows up, that means that's the direction that you need to go, because that's the direction that has all the secrets and all the growth and all the expansion that you are looking for. So that's what I have to say for you guys today. I'm just thinking if there's anything else. Well, I definitely need to talk to you about creativity catalysts. If you're feeling like this nudge and you're like, yes, I really want to connect to my creativity, I want to know what that looks like for myself instead of being a poor echo of somebody else, whether it is painting or knitting or writing or cooking or doing music or dancing again, or just feeling the sense of connecting to your creativity because you miss it. And you feel like you've been going through the motions and you just, you know, every day is the same. You don't have that sense of play and passion anymore because you're not feeling like you're expressing yourself. And you know that you're holding yourself back in other areas. You're losing that sense of confidence in who you are and what it is that you love and what your values are, because you don't have any sense of connection to your own creative voice. That's what full expression is about. Then I invite you to join me inside Creativity Catalysts. It's a 25-day immersion. It allows you the space, if you need, to really immerse yourself into your creative practices and give yourself that time. Because yes, you could do a one-day workshop or a weekend workshop or go on a retreat once, but that's a one-time event, and you know that your creativity is a lifestyle and is part of who you are, and you want to weave it into your everyday life. This 25-day immersion is going to allow you to do that. But if you need a structure and you're too overwhelmed, you just want to follow along to something that's really specific so that your brain has something to hold on to, it has those prompts for you every day over the 25 days. There are 4 themes. It's really structured so you could just follow along, but it's also flexible enough that you could totally just use it to spark new ideas for a project that you're really stuck on, or to come up with content for your online posts, for your online marketing, if that's what you need, because I know there's a few coaches in here. It gives you that flexibility as well as that structure, because sometimes I know we need that structure and just go, what do I need to do today? And sometimes we don't want that structure and want to just flow and just give us a prompt and we can just like swim with our inspiration and allow that flow to go. And it gives you both of that. And this idea of going through the 25 days with catch-up days, so there'll be 5 days of prompts and then you have a catch-up day over the 25 days, is that it will allow you to cultivate that habit of connecting to your creativity, to look at your creative expression in new ways. And I'm going to be challenging you inside there to try new forms of expression that you might not have thought of, or that you already are doing in your everyday life, but you're not realizing that that is you using your creativity. And you can utilize what you already have, where you are, just as you are, with what you have, in tiny, insignificant baby steps, but they all stack up, they all add up, and they all help you cultivate that connection to your creativity and to allow your creative inspiration to flow always. And that even when you're busy, even when you're overwhelmed, you will find your way through. And that this cultivation and this knowing builds your faith and trust in yourself, in your capacity, in your capability, in your connection to your spirituality. And it allows you to cultivate this as a practice and as a habit so that you can grow in confidence with your creative connection, which then ripples out to growing confidence in your creative voice, in how you show up as a leader, in how you show up as a boss, in how you show up in your relationships, in how you show up in your job. And it helps you be able to take those steps that you need to take in order to gain more clarity about where it is that you want to go, and the decisions you need to make, and the solutions that you need to find. That is what it means to connect to your creativity. It gives you the chance to cultivate that connection so that you can build that confidence and that clarity in your everyday life, and it ripples out into all the other areas of your life. That's what it means to connect to your creativity. And at the same time, it's about being able to step forward into that chaos of life and into chaotic play. I talk about creative chaos into just doing this chaotic play with creative purpose, because that's what creativity is, and you're going to practice that in that immersion. So definitely check it out. The link is in the comment below, in the pinned comment below, to join us. The first 5 people get a special prize, and you get a special gift packed in the actual mailbox for you. You'll get a new journal from my Redbubble range so that you can do journaling in there, because we're really big on journaling, because self-awareness and self-connection and self-reflection really helps you connect to yourself, your self-expression, your creativity, and it will help you build it up. That's why it's a big part of what I do with my clients and my students. So definitely enroll. Check out the free training, which is the pre-work for Creativity Catalyst inside Mindful Muses, my free Facebook group. You can find the link to it on my Facebook page, or you can just search in the search bar Mindful Muses with Brenda Mangalore, and I will see you in there. There's going to be more trainings in there because that's what I do. But let me know what really came up for you about how you are allowing your creative expression to flow and your creativity to flow. Are you just sitting around and doing what everybody else is telling you to do, or what your parents have told you to do, or you're just keeping what feels safe and you're just being a poor echo of somebody else, instead of allowing your own creativity to flow so that you can shine brightly, do the work that you're being called to do, and really feel that connection and inspired flow of full expression? And that builds your confidence and that clarity and your ability to be able to step up and shine and be the best you that you're longing to be, that you promised yourself at the beginning of the year that you're going to pursue and look into this year. I will see you inside Creativity Catalyst. Remember that I'm here for you. You don't have to do it alone. You are allowed to dare to take those big dreams seriously and connect to your creativity in order to design and mindfully create a life of joyful purpose in connection to your muse. And you can take that first step today. I'll see you guys soon next time. Bye.